We've got a new announcement for Xbox Game Pass on top of obviously getting Avowed day one. Avowed is selling very, very well, contrary to what I think a lot of people were thinking or hoping for. There was campaigns to try to make sure this game did not do well before its release. They released this game on Battle.net as well, and there's some interesting features there that I think is very good, very consumer friendly, that I hope we see expanded out to the industry wide when games do get released. Lots of other things to go over. There's a major story happening here from NetEase and Marvel Rivals, a head scratcher, very weird stuff happening. You have to ask, why would this be happening for the game that has been just so extremely successful? There's an exclusive report from Insider Gaming and Assassin's Creed Shadows, which we'll talk about. So that plus many other things to talk about on today's show. But before we get into it, if you do enjoy daily gaming content, daily gaming news content, staying up to date on everything that's happening, discussions about the industry, all of that type of stuff, please consider hitting the subscribe to help the channel grow. I see a ton of you who come and watch the channel on a daily basis aren't subscribed, so consider hitting that red subscribe button. But let's start off here and let's talk about Game Pass. The second announcement here for February has been announced. It's nothing spectacular. There's 3 games added on top of Avowed that did release yesterday, day one, but some interesting things here. 2 games that I'm actually going to eventually jump in and play. Here it is. We got F1 24, which will be available tomorrow, and that is coming to Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass, obviously cloud, console, and PC. So if you're an F1 fan, you're going to be able to jump in and play that one. Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. Interested in trying this one out. It is a isometric RPG, turn-based RPG game in the Warhammer universe. I'm always interested in those games. Coming out tomorrow, Ultimate, PC Game Pass, and Game Pass Standard. And then the only Watch Dogs game that I have not played yet, Watch Dogs Legion, coming to cloud, console, and PC for Ultimate, PC, and for Standard on February 25th. So obviously nothing to write home about here, but the big hitter is Avowed that released yesterday, day one, which a ton of people have jumped in and are enjoying. And a lot of people have already been playing it because of the premium access and the 5 days of early access. The other cool thing here that was added was Rise Son of Rome is now available with cloud gaming. If you've never played this game, it was a launch Xbox One game. It's still a phenomenal looking game graphically. It was a little linear in terms of the gameplay, everything. I enjoyed it. I thought it was actually a good launch game for the Xbox One, even though it didn't get the best reviews. However, it's now available here with the Xbox Game Pass subscription there if you have Ultimate. So I don't believe you need to have Game Pass to actually play it via the cloud. If you own it, you're going to actually play it as an own game within Xbox Cloud Gaming. So 3 more games on top of Avowed. Again, Avowed being the huge hitter. And you have to ask, with Avowed launching in Game Pass day one, will it be successful on other platforms? Will it sell well? Because we know with Avowed leading up to its release, there was some negativity. There was the culture wars that seemingly seep into every single game that we're trying to bring this game down and hoping for its failure. With the whole Matt Hansen comments that he made, which were stupid comments to be posting out there online. Either way, we talked about that in another video. I'm not going to get into it. You could have thought because of all of this surrounding the game, it wasn't going to do well. Looks like that isn't the case. Avowed is doing extremely well in terms of sales. And as we know, it is a day one Xbox Game Pass game. Aaron Greenberg tweets this out, keeping everybody updated on just how well it is selling on Steam, saying, well, we'll start here. First of all, he says, thanks to everyone who made Avowed the #1 selling game in America again. And also currently #1 selling game in the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Sweden, Finland, and more. And then just an hour after he puts that tweet out, he tweets out that he's pleased to report that it is now the #1 selling game globally. So Avowed is doing phenomenal. It's ahead of the likes of Monster Hunter Wilds, which I know that game isn't released yet, but I'm sure a lot of people are pre-ordering it. I bet when it does come out, it will end up being #1, but very, very good here for Avowed. On top of the Steam charts, probably isn't getting some subscription increases for Game Pass. People are probably buying it on Xbox. I mean, we already know a lot of people did end up buying it or bought the premium upgrade because of all the people that were playing it 5 days early. I was one of those people who was playing 5 days early. I'm enjoying it. I've put in a couple of hours so far. I need to get more time to sync my teeth deeply into it. But one of the things that has stood out for me so far with Avowed is the combat and how polished it is and how good it feels mechanically with the parrying and the slow-mo when you're hitting your enemies and the magic, how good that feels. And the world is just absolutely stunning and beautiful. It's one of the coolest things so far with this game. And I'm sure there'll be more to explore and enjoy as I continue to play it. So Avowed has done very well. It was one of my most anticipated games this year. And ever since basically that they announced it, I was really looking forward to it. And I don't think I am going to be disappointed. And a lot of people are jumping in and playing it, streaming it. It was on top of the charts on Twitch and everything. So a very successful launch here for Obsidian, for Xbox, and for Avowed. The other thing Xbox does very well, and I really hope to see this happen across the industry at some point. It's very consumer friendly, and I think it just makes it better for gamers when you can buy a game once, take that game, take the save, and be able to play it on other devices without having to go ahead and rebuy it. It's just a very good thing, and they have been doing this with their first party games with Steam, with the whole cross save thing. Obviously you would have to buy the Steam version as well, but if you have a Steam version of the Xbox game and you have your Xbox account and you've played it on your Xbox, you can bring your save over, which is great. And now they're doing some more good stuff here with Battle.net. We know that this game launched on Battle.net. People were scratching their heads as to why they would put it in this service, but it makes sense. They own Blizzard, obviously. And why not put it in every single storefront? If people who may have not heard about the game, maybe it wasn't on their radar, they see it show up on the storefront when it does launch, there's a chance that they could go out there, play it, and buy it. They put this out here saying when you purchase Avowed on Battle.net or have an Xbox Game Pass membership, PC or Ultimate only, and connect your Battle.net and Xbox accounts, it's also yours to play on Xbox and the Xbox app for Windows at no additional cost. Avowed lets you pick up where you left off, bringing all your saves, game add-ons, and Xbox achievement progress with you. So very cool stuff here. The big thing for me here is obviously not every launcher is going to give you that dual entitlement. The reason they're doing it with Battle.net here is because Xbox owns Battle.net. But you see something like with Steam that Xbox is doing, and I hope this is something we see across the board from PlayStation, maybe even from Nintendo at some point. It would just make gaming better for gamers, is that if you have multiple copies of these games, if you have a version on Steam, you have a version on PlayStation, you have a version on Nintendo and Xbox, if you sign into your accounts for whoever made that game, you can get your save, you can get your progression and all of your achievements all in that one place. To me, that is the future. I hope it ends up happening like that. Xbox right now is leading the way. So great to see it that they are transferring that over to the launchers like Battle.net. All right, couple more Xbox stuff here before we move on to some other stories. We'll just jump over here because this is an interesting one. If you like game sales, Xbox has been running a bunch of game sales. This is one of their better ones recently. And this is buy one, get two free. The sale is going on right now. You can take a look at the list. There are some games that I think people would be interested in. Like, for example, you have Mortal Kombat 1, Avatar, which is a good game that I'm not sure that many people played. Hogwarts Legacy, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. You have the Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition. But it's, you buy one, get two free. Obviously, the cheaper games will be the free games, but regardless, it's still a decent deal here. One of the better ones that Xbox has put on there. So go check out that sale if you're looking to get some freebies. The other thing here that is pretty cool is that Forza Horizon 5 has reached over 44 million players, which is a huge number. And they're putting this game on PlayStation 5. It's going to probably reach around 50 million because I think Forza Horizon 5 is going to be on the top of the charts on the PS5 when it does launch, similarly to Sea of Thieves. It is a massive game and it's been out for a few years now. So putting it on PS5 to Xbox is just basically cashing in and getting better margins for this game. I'm sure it's made back all of its money plus way, way more. So 44 million players is a huge milestone. I wonder what the pinnacle will be once it does end up launching on the PlayStation 5. We do have an update here for Hollow Knight Silksong. I don't know if this really means anything, but it does kind of have you scratching your head as to what is going on with this game. We've heard that the development is going good. We haven't seen it yet. This is one that you look at and you think, okay, it shouldn't take that long to develop. It is coming to Game Pass day one. But now, for some reason, it is being removed from the US eShop. I don't know if this has been updated by the time you watch this. However, right now we have this tweet here from Hazard Gaming saying Hollow Knight Silksong listing has been removed from the US eShop, but it's still up on the other platforms. No idea what this means. Maybe they just have to resubmit the listing or something. They made a mistake, so they pull it down and then have to put it back up. Or maybe they're not releasing it on the Switch anymore. They're preparing it for the Nintendo Switch 2, or maybe it's just not coming out on Nintendo whatsoever. Or the worst case scenario would be there are far more issues with this game than we're being led on to believe, because it has been such a long time since they announced it. People would have expected it to be out by now. We haven't even seen any whispers about it at any of these shows that Xbox has had or other companies have had. So very, very odd as to what is going on here with Hollow Knight Silksong. Okay, let's jump over to probably the biggest story happening right now in gaming, because it's a head scratcher. Nobody really knows why at this point. I believe there probably will be updates in the future, but it has to do with Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals, as we know, wildly successful. One of the few games recently that has been released in the multiplayer games as a service genre that has been able to break in and be successful from day one and continue to be successful. And you would think because of that, if you're working on this game, your job is safe. We've seen so many layoffs, so much negativity in the gaming industry over the last year or so, with games being canceled, studio closures. A lot of that is just because companies weren't able to make enough money on the games that they put out. Their game wasn't successful, all of those things. None of that is the case here with Marvel Rivals. But unfortunately for the US-based Seattle team, they're being hit here with layoffs from NetEase. And as we know, NetEase is a Chinese company, so there's a lot of discussion online as well as to why this would be happening. Does it mean China is pulling out a little bit here from the US and maybe going to be focusing more on getting employees in China to do the jobs that were being done in the US? All of these discussions are happening. There's a lot of political stuff going on in the world as well, so who knows? We don't have any information other than that these layoffs have occurred. So here's the story. It says, despite its big success, Marvel Rivals director and others have been laid off. And there is some clarification because there was confusion. People thought that it was all of the directors and everything that were laid off, but it seemingly is only the Seattle studio director that's there and his team, or at least some people on the team, that have been let go. This comes via posting on the LinkedIn profile for Thaddeus Sasser. And he says this: "This is such a weird industry. My stellar, talented team just helped deliver an incredibly successful new franchise in Marvel Rivals for NetEase Games and were just laid off." And then another person here who is a designer, Jack Burrows, also confirmed that NetEase had let them go, saying, "Well, just got laid off from my job working on Marvel Rivals with NetEase." Says, "Was an enormous pleasure to work with my American co-workers who joined me in this sad calling. Just couldn't dodge that big boot, I guess, no matter how big the success of the gig." And from what we do understand is that the studio is the Seattle team specialized in game and level design that has been let go here. And there's the other creative director, I don't know how to say this name, but I'll try, Guang Chen, who appears to be the other developer on the game that still has their job. So very, very weird stuff here. I mean, if you look in the top 5 games in the US weekly active users, it is there on the PS5, the Xbox Series, and Steam. So very confusing as to what is happening, but they laid off that team. Maybe they just think that they don't need them anymore and they're ruthless in cutting their costs, and that they can either find people to do it in China. Who knows? But we will probably hear more about this story going forward and hopefully get some clarification as to what has happened here at NetEase and the team there that did lose their jobs. And unfortunately for them, hopefully they do land on their feet. All right. In a month from now, one of the most anticipated games for me that I'm looking forward to is Assassin's Creed Shadows, and been delayed twice. But we have an exclusive report here from Insider Gaming saying that they're very confident that it will actually release on March 20th, 2025. And why this one is interesting is because we saw some fake news being spread around, absolutely false report that the game was going to be delayed again, which obviously was not true. Now Tom Anderson and Insider Gaming come here and get some clarification on everything. And they say here, speaking with several developers working on the game, they said that they felt confident that it will be ready for its March release date, with one source stating that the game is now pretty much done. And the other thing here that we have heard is that this game so far is looking like it is going to be very successful, which I'm not surprised about because it's an Assassin's Creed game. They sell very good. They're kind of like Call of Duty in the fact that the name brand itself pushes the game, but also it does look phenomenal. If you've seen the gameplay and everything around it, I think the game looks very, very good. It says at the time of writing, Shadows currently has around 300,000 pre-orders, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey's day one player number was between 400 and 450,000. So as of right now, with the current pre-order number, there's about 100 to 150,000 player gap, and I could definitely see it actually reaching that number, maybe even surpassing it by the time the game does launch or on day one when people end up going and playing it. I think Assassin's Creed Shadow, I've been saying this ever since all the controversies came out and they delayed it and started, I think, cleaning up some of the stuff. I think this game is going to sell very well. It could be the thing that saves Ubisoft because we're still hearing about those talks of them potentially selling, and Tencent being one of those main buyers. I think if Ubisoft sells to Tencent, that is overall worse for the company. I hope that they're able to recover, fix up the management issues there, and just get Ubisoft back on the right track because they are a staple in the gaming industry. They have some of the best IPs. They've been here forever, and they can get back to prominence. And I think it would be better if they just did it in-house, but we will wait and see if Assassin's Creed Shadows is a catalyst at all for allowing them to do that. I think it's going to sell very well, and we'll know more on March 20th and beyond. Now we have this story here. This one is, if you live in Canada or France, this will affect you. I live in Canada, so this would affect me. But GameStop apparently is looking to pursue the sale of their France and Canadian operations. So we don't know exactly what this would mean, but they put this out and say that today announced that as a part of its evaluation of its international assets, the company intends to pursue a sale of its operations in France and Canada. My biggest question with this is, if they sell it, does that mean the stores go away? Or is there somebody out there that's just going to continue to operate them and potentially improve upon them? If the stores go away, I would be very sad. GameStop has its issues, of course, but at least where I am, I've had no real issues with the stores that I go to. And I think it's generally on a store-by-store basis where you see a lot of the complaints. Of course, the business practices and stuff are annoying at times, but the GameStop, the staple of going there and just going to midnight releases, knowing the store itself, talking to people about games, I don't want that to go away. So it'll be very sad if that's what does happen here with the sale. But GameStop has been on the downside for a while. So honestly, not that surprising of news that they're trying to sell these assets. I believe this isn't even the first time, because Canada was EB Games and then it became GameStop. And I think there was some sort of transaction that happened with, I'm not fully 100% sure, but it looks like there is another sale here that is going to be happening relatively soon. I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.